Hello, um, my name is Matthew Choi, and I'm making one of my final videos for the targeted individual community. This will be a video about that basically encompasses what is actually happening to the targeted individual community and hopefully helping those who are lost or confused by disinformation, maybe even shining light on the truth for people who aren't targeted yet or aware of targeting, and even the targeted individuals, family members slash friends. Um, I'm a 28-year-old. I was targeted when I was 25. I have a degree in software programming development, um, and about 4 years experience in the industry. I was targeted at 25, and that was due to me resigning from a large company. I was working at basically what you would, it's a major corporate in in many respects, and I was a very good developer there. And upon resigning, they decided to privately investigate me and then try to conduct illegal operations on me through mind control and gang stalking, which led me to becoming a target or a targeted individual. And it's not one of those crazy scenarios that you hear about this sort of thing all the time, the rich bullying the poor. And I'm one of those guys that figured it out very fast, understood everything, applied knowledge to it, and I've been helping out and listening to TIs for a long time now. It's time for you guys to get the actual grand picture of what's happening. A lot of you aren't technologically smart, and this is extremely technological as much as it's spiritual or humane. They're literally mind controlling everyone, and I'm gonna help you understand that through this video. But yeah, it's gonna be a short, not short. It's gonna be quite long. It's gonna be a long presentation in PowerPoint. I'll be voicing most of it, and then also showing you a lot of websites and stuff for you guys to browse yourselves, and hopefully understand it in your own way. Uh, Ultimately, this is sort of the the final conclusion, the entire truth, and you guys need to adapt to it in your own ways as targets. Um, if you're new to the targeted individual community, I suggest you go to Targeting Must Stop on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel, or Targeting Must End. It's another fellow South African who's got targeted about a year earlier than I did, and he did a very good job during those times in making descriptive videos for people to understand the basics of V2K and mind control. Well, V2K and mind control are the same thing. It's a confused. They're just confused. It's actually just mind control. And yeah, he explains gang stalking and V2K and mob work harassment and whatnot. Anyways, so let's get to it. Okay, so a brief description of who I am. My name is Matthew Choi. There you go. Intermediate software developer. This is my LinkedIn profile account. Uh, as you can tell, I worked at a company till 2016 September, and I've started working as a data analyst in 2011. Here's my Harriet Watt University degree, Matthew Choi. Here's my distinctions for various subjects. I'm obviously well educated. I got a few friends. I have no problem finding work at all. Uh, People email me every bloody day. There's obviously a need for in the industry for software developers, and I've been around the world. So in UK, yeah, uh, sorry, these are basically all companies: Contain Analytics Contractor, uh, Application Developer, ASP.NET. Clearly, I don't have a problem getting work, and I'm mentally fit to get work. But that's not the problem, because if I'm mind controlled out of the job, in that they sleep deprive me, and if they mind control my boss or whatnot to decide to get rid of me, they will, and they have, and they've done so uh, multiple times throughout the past 3 years, and that's why, hence, you don't see any job on my account after 2016, because I've never managed to keep a job after that for more than a month, as per government requirement, or per what the government has allowed me while I've been tortured. But yes, let's get back to the presentation that I want to show you, the whole big picture, everything you need to know. I'll start off at the beginning, or the very basics. Try to explain to you what it is you're actually experiencing, and that is basically an extra sense that you're unaware of. But it's very obvious to explain. It's very easy to understand, and I'm just going to help you understand that quickly with a few short slides. So as you can see, there are 5 senses that your body has, and everyone knows them. Well, there's more than 5. There's actually 6, but the 6th one is a little obvious. I'll show you how obvious that is in a second. First one's touch. Then you get sound, your ears. The third one is taste. The fourth one is sight, your eyes. And smell through your nose. Your body has said, parts in it that capture these different senses and send it to your brain where you understand that. And that can come from your ears, for instance, your eyes, your body, which has got touch, and that all travels up, whatever sense it may be traveling up, to your brain where you contemplate it, where you understand it. Now, what your brain does with that, we all know we don't keep our hearts beating. We all know we don't keep ourselves breathing. Our brain functions and does things. It releases it makes it easier for us by sort of summarizing all that information and automating it, and then creating brain waves that we then read. Our brain waves aren't there for nothing. As you can see, the brain creates gamma, beta, alpha, and theta and delta waves. These waves don't just get created because our brains are on. They're created because there is something in our brain that relies on brain waves. And that's the secret. So you've got a sense that relies on brainwaves. Okay, so on slide 3, I go on to tell you that brainwaves are electromagnetic, hence we can sense them using a device, as you can see below, and that's a BCI, brain-computer interface, that's using EEG to record the man's brain patterns while he plays his game. Just let me jump out of this to help you understand quickly. What are brainwaves? At the root of all our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors is the communication between neurons within our brains. Brainwaves are produced by synchronized electrical pulses from masses of neurons communicating with each other. Now that is a little bit disinforming. They say that brainwaves, despite the fact that they're waves, electromagnetic waves, are actually byproducts, and that's all of the brain and its thought. But that's not the truth. You're actually making use of brainwaves. The brainwaves aren't there by accident. There's a sense in the brain that makes use of brainwaves, and that's precisely why the brain produces them. And you'll come to understand that as I continue on with the presentation, and I think you'll learn to agree with me. Further on, they say brainwaves are detected using sensors placed on the scalp. They are divided into bandwidths to describe their function, but are best thought of as continuous spectrum of consciousness. So basically, a continuous spectrum of consciousness is streaming out of my head in the form of brainwaves, in the form of electromagnetic waves. Sounds a lot like a cell phone. That's because it is a lot like a cell phone, and that's what they're trying to hide. As you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that brainwaves are separated into different groups. But right at the bottom, you'll see that instabilities in these brainwaves can correlate to very strange side effects, and many of them aren't strange to targeted individuals because they're literally sent to us. The government has these frequencies and understands how to use them on the mind to match some of these ailments, like a migraine, tinnitus, which is something all targeted individuals complain about. I want you to remember tinnitus, vertigo. There's a lot of us that suffer from vertigo, and various other strange, odd behaviors. And by strange, what I mean is they can basically send you anything they want. Um, but we'll get to that now in a sec. So let's carry on with this. Oh, sorry. If you couldn't sense your own brainwaves, you'd be dead. Obviously, if you had no brainwaves, you'd be dead. That's because something in your brain perceives your brainwaves. If your brain dead, you don't have brainwaves. This means that something in your brain receives and decodes electromagnetic frequency. It's relatively obvious. These 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 brainwaves aren't being used for nothing, and we have devices that can when attached to your head, as far as the public understands, read or get corresponding data from said brainwaves. I carry on to saying your sixth sense has always been on, and that's what I'm referring to. The brain's sense that senses brainwaves. Yes. Reading your own brainwaves because it's normal to do so. You've always had this ability. So why is it so confusing to everyone that you have this sixth sense? Government wants mind control telepathy for themselves, and this is what it's all about. And this is where we start explaining everything. Your cell phone receives and transmits data over an electromagnetic frequency as well. So it gets information from a frequency much like your brain gets information from brainwaves that you produce. Only it's a different frequency band, so you don't sense it. For the same reason your microwave doesn't receive phone calls. So delta waves, theta waves, alpha waves, and beta and gamma waves, they're all on different frequency bands. So they don't interfere with one another. That's also why your cell phone is also on a frequency band, and that's also you don't hear your cell phone calling you. It's like oil and water. It's actually there's millions of cell phones around us every day, and we don't get one another's phone calls. That's very similar to our brain waves. Normally they're not strong enough to get too mentally confused, and if they were strong enough, we would thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago, we regard those people as psychics, because their brain's part that receives brainwaves is a little bit more sensitive, or their brainwaves are a little bit stronger than your average person. But yeah, your brain is not too dissimilar. It produces brainwaves such that you receive them and understand life through your brainwaves, like we just discussed, or like we just saw on the internet, without having to worry too much about the details. Being able to feel emotions and moods of close family friends isn't by mistake. It's you naturally getting used to their feel and their brainwaves. Ever heard of twins being psychic? You see? Well, now you know why. It's also why you can sometimes tell your husband or your wife's moods without looking at them. And we get that all the time when we're not looking at a brother or sister or someone who's very close to us in the family. We don't even need to see them. We sort of know just by them coming in through the back door or coming in through the front door, whatever. Sometimes we can feel their moods or their presence, and that leads to things like finishing one another's sentences and knowing what's on each other's minds, and that also has a lot to do with behavior. But in general, if you're not seeing them or hearing them or whatever, you shouldn't be able to notice this sort of predictory, like this prediction, sort of like sixth sense that you do with family and friends and loved ones, but you do it anyways, and that's because of this these brainwaves. It's not a coincidence, and yes, it's also learned and subject to your misinterpretation. EEG devices are also a lesser technology designed to fool the majority into a rabbit hole. They need the time to further mind control, or at least make the world seem bigger. And that is true. EEG devices, BCI devices, currently in the market for the public are semi-functional. They're not actually the correct science. They're hiding the truth from you. um, such that they can basically monopolize on this sixth sense, this discovery of it, and the use of it way before you and your kids ever do. And it's a huge, huge worldwide problem, and that's exactly what I'm talking about today. Uh, Massive, massive, massive problem. It's it's not too dissimilar from uh, processors in laptops. Um, the market for processor speeds in laptops is there's a standard. It's a set standard by government. So whenever you go shopping for a laptop, you'll notice that laptops have ranges, and at the top of each range, there seems to be this sort of equality about them. Uh, the top range of one company has a little bit more RAM, and the top range of another company has a little less RAM but more memory. But the processors and whatnot generally are the same, and they're ever increasing, but at this very profitable sort of pace. And that's actually a control system. That's a milking system that we're all very familiar with. And that's exactly what you're seeing with brain reading technology. There's a slow milking going on, and mind telepathy or mind control V2K, which is what we're talking about here, is far more used, abused, monopolized around the world by governments, and we're the victims. We, the targets, are the victims, and I can show you right now quite a few good examples. I mean, just typing targeted individuals into YouTube will give you, look at this, it's crazy. And these are actual people, just like me making a video right now. Women, men, young, old, all confused about what's happening to them via this mind control. I mean, we've got this. I remember seeing an attorney, a lawyer, average kids, and it just goes on for days and days of actual people. They're making videos of themselves, not trying to make up some sort of conspiracy theory. They're actually all crying just like I am, all online, all talking about very similar things. I mean, there's people all around the world suffering. Here we have Thailand, um, South Korea, Canada. I believe that's South Korea again. Just have a look at Thailand. They've actually
วันนี้
made the
สาสี
news,
รื่นแล้วมาพูดคุยกันนะ
and
กับผู้ที่เดือดร้อนค่ะ
it's gotten quite serious, as you can see. V2K, mind control, stop human rights violations, and they're just doing sick things with this technology. There's Japan. They've even got videos, as well as China. China's got a few TI videos. Actually, it's only got one. I've only ever seen one. But there's also a very big TI representative in China. She's quite famous. And here's America and whatnot. So yeah, it's a pretty big thing, and it's only getting bigger as more lives get destroyed and more people find out and get attacked. So back to business. Slide 5. The discovery of this was cleverly hidden in World War II. While this info still exists, back then, as with any discoveries of technology, it was in its infancy and was prioritized as a possible weapon to aid the defense of a country. You know, the Cold War, Russia versus America and whatnot. The discovery was pretty obvious, and that was because of radar. If you actually go and research the microwave auditory effect, you'll notice that in World War II, personnel could actually hear their radar the radar pulse, and radar happens to be a frequency, electromagnetic frequency. So it's not sound. It's a completely different thing to sound, and the fact that you can hear it means there's something in your head that can pick up frequencies. Now, in the microwave auditory effect wiki, they've managed to disinform you by saying that it activates part of your neural nerve, or your auditory nerve system. But I mean, you saw all the victims, and I'm here telling you that it's not. So maybe you should maybe we're at a stage where those sort of lies don't fly anymore. Um, what's important is that you understand that the part I highlighted in blue, tinnitus, is mentioned in this wiki page. That these people suffer, that people that get hit by these sort of radar microwave auditory effect shenanigans suffered tinnitus. When they were experimented on with the microwave auditory effect, they mentioned that tinnitus was a side effect. And earlier on you heard me saying that people with brain abnormalities have tinnitus. So you're starting to put pieces together. There's something about tinnitus, that frequency sound in your ear, that that's connecting, and I'm gonna help you take that even further. The hum, which is quite ridiculous, the hum, an anomalous sound heard around the world. If you actually go, yeah, you can see frequencies and everything, to this false description of it, or see what they say. It actually indirectly tells you what's been happening, and some like the half truths. The hum is a worldwide phenomenon. Reports come from the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United States, 1994, 2000, Japan, 2003. These are all recent dates. And the Bristol hum in England, large hums in Scotland. The oldest and most frequent reports have been from the United Kingdom. No shit. These reports may go back as early as the 1940s and 1950s, and that happens to be 20 years after the war. And prior to that, there's no hum. So immediately you're getting to see the picture that the hum itself, this entire phenomenon, has secretly been the experimentation of mind control. And if you go on to read, side effects from the hum range from stomach aches to suicide. What do you think they were doing with the power to manipulate and control other people's minds? I don't want to say it out right now, but I think you get the picture. And more recently, we have the microwaves weapons attacks on diplomats. I think it was America, the Cuban, whatever. It doesn't matter. We all know it wasn't what they call over here sonic delusions. We all know what it is, and that was a huge scare as well. And they covered that up quite well. The New York Times does still admit that, if you go read this article that I'm pointing at right now, they do still admit that the microwave auditory effect or electromagnetic frequency may be one of the culprits. And we obviously know that it is, but whatever. So slide 7. Oh yeah, and just before that, sorry, I managed to get my mic working a little louder. Just before we go into the next slide, on 7, just go back to here, where we have on the left the Moscow signal, and this is something that happened way back when in 1965, 1975, and it's basically Russia targeting the U.S. embassy, well, Moscow, with this frequency, zapping an embassy 35 years later, the Moscow signal. If you just read up until this point here, low power microwave signals continue to be detected at the embassy, according to the State Department's Bureau of Diplomatic Security. And the whole thing goes on about how, if you actually read into the cables of it, when the cables came out from Julius Assange, you'll also see that the techniques they used here and what they described, tinnitus, three differing frequencies throughout the day, are all exactly the same things. And once I'm gonna say again, tinnitus, which is the microwave auditory effect, which is what you hear when you get hit by mind control V2K, is this hum, basically the hum, this frequency, this high pitched frequency in your inner ear on your left hand side or on your right hand side, and that's the frequency being used hit on you from like the past. I mean, this is 1965 over here. So it's quite clear that they've known about this the entire time, about the microwave auditory effect and the frequency, and being able to read people's minds like this. And that's been kept a global secret for the rich and wealthy and government, and back in those days it would be, war-based. The point of keeping the secret was for country protection and stuff. But now that we're all citizens and stuff, and we're all being targeted, that's no longer the case. They've got AI behind it. They're using it on people. It's time for mind control to hit the public, and they've been saying about making soldiers and whatnot. That stuff's already long gone. That's the perfect soldier and all that with mind control is already long over. Now it's time to mind control the public and make them complete mind slaves, sort of vibes. This is what's happening to us, and that's why we get tortured and stuff. So they can slowly get into our minds. Why we first believe it's our neighbors. All this covert, undertable all these covert undertable tactics are there to make you not see the truth instantly and quickly, and then scream out the truth to everyone and ruin their attempt. They normally try and isolate you after about a year of doing it in very, very different ways. Some people believe that they only have voice to skull. Some people believe that they're only getting physical burns and stuff. They all believe their own little thing. Some believe it's God talking to them or something like that. They're all on their own little belief system in their head, and that's because they can read that belief system, and they're taking advantage of you. But anyway, let's continue. Okay, yeah. So slide 7. Like I said, because they can copy these sensors, they can the brain waves of those sensors, not really copy them exactly, and they can send that to you through an AI that's been recording other people. Because they can do that, they can separate the sort of things you feel when you get targeted by it. If I go in, if I'm invisible and you can't see me, and I go and I stab your friend in the back, all right, and then I secretly go and poison your other friend secretly, and they all go to the hospital, and they talk about their what happened to them. Do you think that they're going to be blaming the same person? No. Sure, they're going to both say that the world's evil and there's bad people out there, but they're not going to believe that they're suffering from the same agenda, the same person. So that's exactly what they've done here. As science technology advanced, it became more capable. Not only could they send you sounds, but they could send you moods, emotions, and sensations. And that's what Alan Frey says in the microwave auditory effect. He says he can send you extreme buffeting to the forehead. He can send you sensations of pins and needles. And it's gone way further than that. They send a drill going into my head. They send me electrocution shocks. They send me whatever they want. They've sent me sexual content, and that's why a lot of through this mind control, they've sent me sexual content, and that's why a lot of it's very real sexual content, sometimes very bad, and that's why a lot of target individuals say that they've been sexually raped or harassed, like sexually, not just the general rape and torture that we go through. But anyway, sorry. As you understand from earlier, your brainwaves are you, what you feel, see, touch, and taste. So if they can send the brain data that mimics those things in a way that they want them to, you get mind controlled or tricked / influenced. They can even send you let's skip that one. Guys, I just talked about that. Now they've actually done that to me, and they've done that to a few TIs I know. The sensation of hot and cold, all types of emotions, blah blah blah. They can send me pictures of my friends that's been digitized in a computer, and they send that all through the frequency. They've literally got an AI that does this. Give me a second. Yeah, I just want you to have a look. This is a really good video from Stream Media Technologies becoming indistinguishable from reality. And I just wanted you to see just how with the AI through this telepathy, it's creating a character. Or let's say you're being hit by V2K such to a point that you can see them showing you this secret brain network that they all have, and that all your friends in your community are secretly on it and talking about you, and you can actually see them talking to you in your head. That whole conversation, or what they're saying or what they've said, is what they've fabricated using an AI, and they've used this AI to record the person, understand his personality, and then they just quickly recreate his face and stuff, and then they send that to you with him saying whatever they want, like a puppet, through this computer, and they just make it say whatever it wants, and then you think that that's your father, or that's your brother, or that's your neighbor. And they'll do that pretend that that's coming through a wall. They'll make it feel like it's coming through a wall, and they'll do all these different things to manipulate you, and you will naturally feel the need to trust that person or trust them because they seem to have your friend or whatnot on this network. That's not the case. They have an AI that's impersonating them. As easy as this. Have a look.
That the VR is getting to a point that when people do it and then they take the helmet off or whatever, they come out. It's like some of the more high-end stuff they got coming out right now. When they're back in actual real physical reality that they're in, they feel like the VR was more real than the actual world. That's the level that we're at with this. That video editing technology where a person can take a video of someone, of anyone, and make it say whatever they want it to in real time, that we reported on 3 years ago, has only gotten more sophisticated now.
Look how much you can distort the message by hijacking someone's face. It's really uncanny and eerie. I guess they're going to try to give society schizophrenia, trying to figure out when they're in the real world.
Very funny.
I have a single camera here that's watching my face and feeding some machine learning software that's taking my expression, like, and transferring it to that guy.
See how quick it is.
It's actually a 3D character that I'm controlling live in real time.
And has led the way to the creation of what is now called Deepfake.
Watch this. Look how fast it
really
is.
See
how fast it just
hideous
transitions to
abominations
anything.
Imaginable, like this scarring video of Steve Buscemi merged with Hunger Games actress Jennifer Lawrence.
I just like, it was just, this was very truly surprising for me.
Just nobody wants that. Really, they
Anyways,
I hope
yeah.
I'm never in that like situation.
And that
I just wanted you to appreciate the speed of which you just saw that happen. This year, look how many different people it seemingly just morphs into for free. And that's what they that's the kind of technology they have through this thing. And as you try and understand it, it's busy morphing based on what you want to understand, and then it ends up just saying something that you'd believe or whatnot. And that's how crazy fast it is. And dude, we're talking about military grade computing, mind control, corporate oligarchy grade computing. Of course they can do that. I'm watching some average YouTube video where they're already doing that, and these are like your average people. Look at AI generated people who do not exist. They look completely 100% real. There's the one of the baby. I mean, look at this baby. Let me get it bigger for you. Which is quite shocking. Hold on. Well, I don't think. There we go. Look at that. Like, you see how innocent it can be. Like how sweet that is. But that thing's not. That's not real. And they'll send you crap like that. So it's extremely difficult to distinguish. So I talk to a lot of TIs about how they need to drop the fact that they're not on some secret network it's a secret network, but they're not on some network that everyone else is on, and you're being not persecuted, you're being identified and checked on, and because you're not in this little group. No, they're all in there. Everyone around you is in their own little situation that's being manipulated and messed with, and some of those people know the truth and are your perpetrators. Some of them are involved, but the greater mass, the majority of them, are in their own little world, thinking they're following, I don't know, this AI interpretation of God that they think is God in themselves, or some of them think that they're going to get that job. They got to keep striving to be successful, you know. And there's so many different ways to manipulate someone through this. It's not even funny. So it's endless actually. And then never mind the own little moral. Everyone's own little moral complex, you know, their own little reward system based on who they are as people. It's like, it's limitless, but the AI can see all of it. The guys in the government can see all of it. They're used to seeing all of it, and they're used to manipulating it, you know, like they would any event, or or situation, like they do with the news and everything, and with whistleblowers and whatnot. And they've spent years developing these social engineering techniques, and this technology is the perfect thing for them. But anyways, so once they understand you enough and they've recorded you for about a year, we'll get to the different kinds of TIs just now, and that's where I really want them. I just wanted you guys to understand the basics before I explain the TI situation. As you can see here, I've got the corporate oligarchy on the right. That's the staff. That's MI6. That's SIS. That's GCHQ. That's FBI, CIA, whatever, and whatever corporate bodies behind it. Whatever corporate oligarchy, like super monopoly, is helping fund them or keep them in place. This is what's happening all around the world, and they all decided that this is the best format to go around with it, to go by with it. And basically, the AI is extremely smart. It's been free listening and recording paradigms of people for plus 40 years. Okay, I'd say plus 20 years to be exact. They've been performing MK Ultra on people and whatnot while under it, so that they could really understand psychology and understand people and how to take what they need from them and give them nothing, without even letting them be seen, kind of thing. And right in the front of the public eye, then they take all the skill from the AI, all these things that they've learned, put it together, all the logic, all the psychoanalysis, all the psychology of it, and they put it together in the AI, and the AI spits out what it needs versus what they want versus what they know of you from recording you, and that mixes in with your brainwaves, and that turns into torture, conditioning, mind control, all sorts of crazy effects, and the whole time you're just thinking that this is you. That's supposed to be what you are. That's what they're trying to do, mind control you, so that you're not you anymore. You are a stream of whatever it is they're trying to make you or keep you as. And it costs them very little but electricity. And the global elite are already super rich, and with this they're ensured to be super rich, and everyone is ensured to be consciously dead, which sounds like every government dream I've ever heard of in my life, and that's what they're doing. So, next page.